Welcome to video 4 in our comprehension series. This time we will build on discussions from video 3 around supporting comprehension development in the classroom. In video 3 we focused on explicit teaching and modelling of comprehension strategies at the start of your guided reading session. Today we're going to talk about further ways to focus on comprehension at the start of the guiding reading session, and then move on to look at ways to start your students using their comprehension skills during a reading group session. Many of you will already be building comprehension development into the start of your guided reading sessions in your before reading conversations with your students. Drawing students' attention to the fact that they are using comprehension strategies before they start reading the text continues to reinforce metacognitive strategies. You are asking your students to think about their thinking. I'm now going to demonstrate how you can do this with your reading groups in a simple and effective way. You can vary this approach, but keeping this consistent in each lesson is key to reinforcing learning with your students. Okay, reading group, before we start reading together, we're going to activate our prior knowledge. And this is going to remind us of information we already know about the topic of this book. First, what do you know about the food that animals eat? Great! Well done, everyone. Now, tell me, do different animals eat different things? Excellent. Let's keep this information in mind as we're reading. Now, blue reading group, we're just about to start reading, but before we do, let's look at the cover of this book, Who Eats Who? From the title and the cover images, let's predict what we think this book might be about. Who wants to start? You will notice in the two demonstrations that I just gave that I was careful to make sure that I use the same language around comprehension that we've been talking about throughout the video so far. I have used our strategy names, Activate Prior Knowledge and Predict, and I describe both in a similar way to in previous demonstrations. By doing this in each guided reading session, you will start to build up a consistent and common language around comprehension with your students. This will support their understanding and independent use of the strategies and contribute to their development. The guided reading session is also a fantastic opportunity for you to get your students to practice their comprehension skills and for you to monitor their development. I'm going to use a title from Oxford Reading for Comprehension to show you one way that you can approach doing this in your guided reading session. Take a look at the text on screen, and we will then look at how we can ask questions that require students to display a specific comprehension skill. Now that you have had a chance to read the text, I'm going to ask a question that would require students to practice the skill of understanding vocabulary. The question is, which word tells you that snakes are not easy to see? Next, I will ask a question that asks students to practice the skill of appreciating the author's toolkit. Why does the author use italics on this page? As you ask these questions, you will see whether students are feeling confident in the skill or whether they are still needing some support. Where students need support, you can model how you, as an expert reader, would tackle the question by using the Think Aloud strategy. Let's look now at some further text from the book and how we could ask students to show their use of two further comprehension skills, finding information and making connections and inferences. Take a moment to read the text on screen. Now that you have had a chance to read the text, I will ask a question that asks students to practice the skill of finding information. What does a deer eat? What eats deer? Next, I will ask a question that asks students to practice the skill of making connections and inferences. What is at the top of the food chain? We are going to have a look now at graphic organisers. Graphic organisers are great tools to help students to organise their conceptual knowledge and to visually represent what they have learned. Using these in your guided reading sessions continues the use of metacognitive strategies that complement the Think Aloud prompts that we talked about in videos 1 and 3. Oxford Reading for Comprehension provides 2 graphic organisers for each of the 5 comprehension skills, but you can find many graphic organiser templates available elsewhere. As part of your planning, think about which comprehension skill you would like to focus on in the session and choose a graphic organiser that complements this. Let's look at a graphic organiser that you could use with the students to help them practice the skill of making connections and inferences. This graphic organiser could be used as a group activity with lots of student discussion, or you could ask students to work on this independently. Looking back on the completed graphic organisers will give students a greater understanding of the information that they have gathered from the text. For you as a teacher, it's an excellent way to monitor the group or individual students' use of the comprehension skill. Many of the activities and approaches that we have discussed today are things that you will already be employing in your classroom. By reframing how we use these activities within our approach to comprehension, we can more fully support students in their comprehension development and progress. In our next and final video, we will reflect a little more on how you can monitor your students' comprehension development and how we can use this information to better inform our future teaching. See you next time.